Hello all. Today we are going to discuss about another case study, dependent energy. So what's a dependent energy? The energy which we depend on today, mostly the fossil fuels, coals, petroleum, oils, etc. And what are the uses and how we are utilizing this without any idea to keep a sustainable things. And what is the alternative source of energy for this dependent? So in this case study, uh, with the introduction, mostly we use oil as a major energy supplier. So we don't know how much is left and when will we run out. We've been continuously using, the vehicles have been continuously increasing nowadays, and without any knowledge of our use and sustainability, we are utilizing. But the study says that about 80% of this energy will deplete in 2050 and in 2100. Maybe from this another 80 years we are going to deplete everything. Whether we may be after that, we don't know. But unfortunately, our future generation will suffer a lot for these things. So, what can we do with the reduction of the so much energy need? So there are only three options. One option is look for more energy. So we have to discover more and more type of energy sources. We can go for the same fossil fuels uh, by discovering or by drilling the ground. Otherwise, we should reduce the oil usage and we should reduce our waste in this. Then we should use another, we can go for another energy resource. Nowadays we are discussing about renewable energy sources. So in this renewable energy there is solar, wind, and there are a lot of energies, and we have to look out for these. So there is no easy solution other than this. Even we look for more, definitely it will going to be create some other problem like pollution, environmental disasters. And nowadays we can't able to reduce the oil usage, even though our battery cars have been developed. To charge the battery we have to depend on the coal and thermal power plants, etc. So the only the others we can go for an alternative source of energies. So there is no easy solution other than this. This is a typical on onshore oil extraction process. So, what the fossil fuel supply most of our commercial energy? Yes. So, even we have a lot of energy like this. Fossil fuel cannot supply these things. We have a solar energy, that is alternative source, and there is direct and indirect solar energies. Even wind energy is there. Hydropower plant is there. Biomass is there. Commercial energy is also been available. Then there are non-renewable energy source which is fossil fuel. It is the our general aim of discussion, and the above said we call it renewable energy sources. Uh, this typical picture regarding the renewable energy sources and the non-renewable energy sources. The commercial energy used by our source for the world and United States is. So almost we compare the United States, the nuclear power plant is about 80%. United States have a lot of nuclear reactors, but the energy production in the United States utilization is only about 8%. When you compare to the world, it carries some 6%. And look into this, the major part holds oil. The United States 39 and the world uses 33%. And the coal, it is world 22%, United States almost stands the same. And the natural gases comparatively the same. But what is mean this? The natural gases, coal and oil, which are definitely a fossil fuel, even it can produce pollution and will be exhaust in the coming future. So a brief history of the human energy resources. In the beginning, the early human used their muscle power as an energy. Then after the discovery of fire, the discovery of steam engines and the things which we are able to run with the steam, the coal usage has been increased. And the steel power plants, the coals have been a lot of used. And for agricultural, in the beginning we are plugging the agriculture with the ordinary cattle and some kind of materials. But nowadays we use tractors, modern machineries for the agriculture, which in turn consumes oil and gases. So slightly by day, these things, the usages has been increased. The use of wind and the flowing water, in the beginning it has been utilized, but now it has been used by machines, like internal combustion engine, nuclear energy, and these things leads to a lot of energy crisis. So how should we evaluate the energy resource? We can evaluate the energy resource based on the particular things like supplies. How much supplies is there and how much reserves is there? Is the reserves and supplies will match together, and which can be hold for sustainable things? What about the environmental impacts? When we use these fossil fuels, there is a lot of environmental impacts: air pollution, acid rain, and many things, global warming, etc. So how much useful energy can be provided by using these, and why can't we look into another aspect of a non-renewable energy source? So the net energy is the only energy that relays counts. Yes. So how much we use? It takes energy to get energy. Yes. We want to produce electrical energy, the mechanical energy has to be done. For the mechanical energy, what we have to do? We have to do with some kind of thermal energy. So the second law of thermodynamics states energy cannot be neither created nor be destroyed, etc. Is it okay? But the second law says there must be some loss. So the net energy expresses net energy ratio. So some part of energy has been converted into useful energy. So what happens? The total energy minus this, and what about the extraction and the customers? So the amount of useful energy available is nothing but a minus energy needed to find, and energy needed to extract, and energy needed to process and get into the consumers. So the net energy will be very, very less. Our conventional oil, the high net energy ratio is available, but nowadays in nuclear fuel cycles we have a low net energy ratio. That's why mostly we prefer for a conventional thing. So petroleum or crude oil is equal to a conventional one, and a fossil fuel, crude oil, natural gas, or conventional oil extraction and refining. So for oil extraction and refining, we investing a lot and we are doing much energy. It needs energy, but for distillation process, when we get a crude oil, the crude oil has been converted into a fractional distillation. Through the fractional distillation, we get several things like petroleum, diesel, everything. But for these things, we have to do energy. This will consume oil. The world oil consumption needs some part of energy consumption, like this the oil refineries. So this is the fractional distillation unit where the crude oil has been supplied. It gives gasoline, it gives an aviation fuel, and gives heavy oil, diesel oil, petroleum, naphtha, so asphalt, so like this. So how can we produce this? Which this needs energy, and the cost of production is also high. So in every aspect of this usage, oil usage, we spend energy, we pollute things. So we heavily depend on what? So we depend on these oil reserves. So 13 countries in the world at least have 60% of the crude oil reserves. Particularly Saudi Arabia has 25% of world crude oil reserves, Canada 15, and oil production peaks and flow rates to the consumers. India also, which mostly depends upon Saudi Arabia and Iran to get the oil. So around 13 countries have 60% of oil. Even though India in Mumbai High and Kaveri Delta region, we know Ankleshwar in Gujarat, we know Digboy in Assam, we know that there is oil research, but it is not comparable with the Saudi Arabia and other things, Gulf countries particularly. Why we depend heavily on oil? So we depend heavily on oil because the possible effects of steeply rising oil price. We depend heavily on this, automatically the price rises. Oil reduces the energy waste. So we have to reduce the energy waste, and we should shift from a non-carbon energy sources. So oil contains some carbons, but our aim is to shift from this to the other end. So higher prices of products made with the petrochemicals, these when the oil price rises, food price automatically rises. Buy local produced food. Air fares is higher. Fuel efficiency will be becoming more. Upgradation of public transport is required because the old vehicles go on consuming a lot amount of fuel and giving or elevating the pollution. So produces 90. So world produces 9% of those. Particularly we thinking about this U.S. and produces 9% of the world oil, but imports 60% of the oil. So 1/4 of the world conventional oil is controlled by the countries that sponsors or which condone the terrorism. So for oil, the U.S. conducted more wars. Should we look for more oil resources? Yeah, we have to look for more oil resources, but that must be an extremely difficult one, expensive and financially risky, and a role of for bacteria in the oil industry is required to degrade the oil and other things. So what to do? So we should go for a green energy. Shall we go for a green energy? Yes, we go for a green energy. What is a green energy? Even in chemistry, we discuss about green chemicals. So what do you mean by green chemicals? Mostly recycling the chemicals, and again we are using it for that, like liquid fuels. So these energies are recycled, and again it has been used. We go for green energy. That is energy which does not affect the environment. Many concepts has been developed, green building, like that. Then what about renewable energy? Yes, mostly the non-renewable energies are exhaustive. It will exhaust in near future. Either it's coal or petroleum or some other thing, natural gas, etc. But a non-renewable energy will not exhaust, like wind energy, like solar energy, hydrothermal energy. Now these non-renewable energy resources, biomasses. But the energy production is not appreciable in this. What can we do for that? So, for example, wind energy, it produces electricity only in certain peak situation. During it's a monsoon country. During the monsoon period, the wind flow will be more, then production will be more. After that, the production will be less. In solar, during the rainy season, cloudy season, we don't get an appreciable amount of electricity. So the modern we have to combine these technologies, and we have to analyze a thing that which can hold or which can produce a continuous energy production. So reduction in the use of fossil fuel is a necessary one. Why should we reduce the use of fossil fuels? The one major impact is the fossil fuel will exhaust in the near future. Good. And another one is it creates pollutions. Nowadays, the world countries are very much concerned about the pollution, and when we are concerned about global warming, even there are United Nations Convention on climatic changes has been discussing by reduction in use of fossil fuels, so that the carbon dioxide level will be reduced in the atmosphere. They have fixed some targets. But unfortunately, what is the reason is the developed countries have used these fossil fuels for past 100 years, and they have been urging the developing countries like India to reduce those things. So definitely it produces a pollution. This pollution will not only affect our generation. The earth has been warming up. It will warm again, and the greenhouse effect has been increasing. So what happened in near future? After the 100 years or 200 years, that definitely the 2 to 3 degrees temperature will be high in the earth. So our aim is to look into another energy resource. That is, we have to reduce the dependency in the fossil fuels. So the dependent energy now should have to be reduced, and the thrust on the renewable energy should be increased. So India is much more investing in this. We have built a solar park, and we have Jawaharlal Nehru mission for solar mission has been targeted to produce a certain amount of energy within a period, calculated time. India has been giving subsidies to increase the solar energy use. So we have to reduce the fossil fuels, increase the renewable energy, go for a green energy, so that we can reduce our dependent energies. So thank you. We'll discuss and meet again in another case study. Thank you.